I would want to ask, do you use any marketing strategies per se for yourself to get clients, or is it the network that is helping you grow your business?
So very honestly, my business is because my husband is well networked. So it is thanks to him that I have not had to actively do any marketing. He is part of our digital masters network where
Yeah.
he is one of the top 10 coaches in India.
What do you do?
Okay.
Who do you help, and how do you do it?
Okay. So I am a PR consultant. I get a lot of questions about what exactly is PR. So PR is essentially getting, for me, entrepreneurs, coaches, mentors featured in the news to build credibility.
That what is the kind of revenue you're able to get through the business in a month?
So revenue wise, on an average, we do about 5 lakhs per month.
Okay.
Through PR, and it's a very lean team. So I have one person who works with me. So in terms of
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Female Founders Podcast. Today I have with me Medha. Hi Medha.
Hi Manmeet,
How are you doing today?
very good. How are you?
I'm good, and thank you so much for inviting me over.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you so much. Medha has been into PR for the last 15 years, and she has been an entrepreneur for the last 3 or 4 years, and I want to learn a lot of insights. Everybody wants the visibility online, don't we? So I'm going to learn how did she start the business, how to get visibility, and what it takes to be a female founder. So let's get started, shall we?
Let's do it.
Yes. So the first question that I mostly ask everyone is that why did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Okay. So for me, very honestly, it has been like I've stumbled into entrepreneurship. It's not something that I planned. I've been thinking about it, but when I started my career, I was in a job. I was working for 2 very big agencies, and I was very comfortable working on really good clients. So I didn't really want to become an entrepreneur, but my husband Gaurav, he is an entrepreneur at heart through and through. So he's been an entrepreneur since he was 23, and I had never seen anyone love work the way he did. Like, it was just like he woke up excited to go to work, and after we got married, it was like, why are you working for someone else? Why are you earning all this money for someone else and getting paid a small
Right.
amount of it? So anyways, after motherhood, after I had my 2 kids and COVID struck, it seemed like the right time, and opportunities came my way where I stopped my job.
Right.
And I call myself the reluctant entrepreneur because I just like somehow went there and more business started coming. So I've been very lucky in that sense.
Right, right.
But now I love it. I would never see myself going back into a job because everything you do as an entrepreneur comes from your heart. You know, it's
Right.
not that someone's sitting on your head. It's like you want the best result. You feel like I want to make this happen for my client, and you feel that deep connection.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think what I understand from what you just said is sometimes we need that push, right? From our family, from our spouse, our friends. We need that push because they believe in us, and we are not able to see that confidence and belief while they are looking at us. So we need that push. Now please jump in. And then once we jump in, we love the process, we love the journey.
Totally.
And you know, you just mentioned that you quit your job and then you got into entrepreneurship, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs will relate with this. How was the transition like? What were your feelings when you were quitting your job, getting into entrepreneurship? How did you feel?
So honestly, initially it was a bit confusing because what happened is that COVID struck, and since I was doing PR, a lot of, you know, it was such a new situation that as for our agency also, the agency that I worked with, one of the first things to get cut from the marketing budget was PR.
Right.
So we lost a lot of clients, and you know, like there was cutting down in the company, and that's when I decided that I'll take a step back. It was very uncertain, and then Gaurav introduced me to few of the coaches that he was working with, and they were very big names in the industry. So I took on the projects initially it was very overwhelming, because it was also starting from scratch. When you're working in a company, you have someone junior, you have someone senior.
Right.
So you're kind of in between, there's a buffer. So it was very overwhelming, but overall, like in a span of about 3 months, I feel like it settled down and I was able to figure stuff out.
Right, right. And I feel that also this happened because you had someone to support you in the entrepreneurship journey because they had done it.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now, what I believe is all of us make our own mistakes.
Yes.
Even though we have the best of best people, we'll make our own mistakes. But having said that, it also cuts our journey short is
Yes.
because we already know their set of mistakes.
Totally.
So it becomes a little easier.
Yes.
You mentioned that, it was a little overwhelming, which is for everyone once they make that transition. Did you do anything particularly, any habits, any routines, because that is what people say, or any small steps to make sure that you go through the transition and overcome that overwhelming feeling?
So one of the things that I did, I was not in a position to hire anyone at that point because I was just starting out and I had about 2 to 3 clients. What I did try to do was find other specialists to work with. So
Right.
what I did was that I found freelancers, and that kind of helped me manage the finances and my time, because it was also just the beginning of COVID. So my children were not, the younger one was really little, the older one was doing homeschooling. So it was like, till 12 o'clock homeschool was on.
Right.
So it was, I had a few freelancers that I roped in, and I feel like just delegating at that point content to someone, outsourcing really helped me.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I think collaborating and connecting really helps rather than getting
Absolutely.
everything in-house and taking that risk in the beginning.
Yes.
Right,
yes,
right.
yes.
You touched upon a very nice point, that is the finances.
Yes.
I would like to ask this question and I'd like to frame it better, that sometimes when we transition from a job to entrepreneurship, the money that we need is not because we need to run the house or maybe, we need it for the bread and butter. But it is because we've been working for so long, like you have an experience of last 15 years.
Yes.
And entrepreneurship, it's 3 to 4 years.
Yes.
So when you leave that job and you come into entrepreneurship, there is a little bit of a anxiety that kicks in.
Yes.
So did you plan any finances while making the transition, or was that a complete jump, or how did you manage the finances that time?
Okay. So for me, because it was a digital business, there was no investment. So in
Yeah.
that sense, I was lucky. And in a job, so even with the first 2 clients, I was already earning more than I was at my job.
Right.
So I didn't really have to plan for that, except that I had no support in terms of like a team.
Right,
Which I
right.
said, then I got freelancers to work with at sometimes on a per conversion basis or per article basis, so that it's very tangible results.
Right.
So that really helped me, but honestly, no, I didn't do any major financial planning because it was a digital business where I didn't have to particularly invest in any overheads like an office or resources or pay anything like that.
Right.
So
Right.
I didn't need any investment and it happened smoothly, luckily.
Right, right, right. I always joke like this. I say that, when I quit and I got in, like I said, that sometimes we don't need the money because we need it. It's just a psychological hit. So I always say my husband was my cushion, my financial backup, and I jumped into entrepreneurship.
Totally, yeah. No, that's
Yes.
always helpful, I think.
Yeah.
And in our case, like Gaurav just supporting me so much, and I feel at that point really he was the only person who understood
Yeah.
and who guided me so much, because he was the only entrepreneur. Like otherwise, I come from a family where everyone is a business person, as in they work for companies.
Right.
So he really guided me on how to talk to customers, how to get the work done, how to connect with freelancers, how to network with people. So that was a huge help.
Right, right. You also mentioned about the first 2 clients that you got, and I would love for you to share the experience of having the first client of your own as an entrepreneur, and how was the process of closing them and how did you feel?
Okay, so my first client was a company called, it was actually a friend's friend who was launching a gaming company. It was, traditional board games. So it was very interesting, and because they were friends of friends, there was a lot of trust already. They were very relaxed, they were very prompt with payments, there was no problem. The second company was a parenting brand, which also like initially I think I closed for less because I
Yeah.
didn't have that faith in myself, where it was like, okay, this is my first client, I don't mind charging a bit less, but I can have that little bit of a, that teething stage.
Yeah.
So that helped, and it took a few months to set the processes, to understand each other. And then after that, I've been very fortunate to have connected with some very, very good
Right.
coaches. And overall, I find that the culture in those communities has been so great when it comes to, just the way you interact with each other, the ethics. So it's all been very smooth, touch wood. Of course, along the way there have been tough clients,
Right.
there have been losses, but the start, touch wood, was very smooth, which is very encouraging for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, that tough clients and ups and downs are a part of business.
Totally.
And people who get into business with the fact that I'm getting into a risk. That's the game you play. So that's the part of the game.
And sorry, one thing
Yeah.
I want to add, one of the main things I like about being an entrepreneur is that you can choose who you want to work with.
Yes,
Because
100%.
as when I worked through the agency, there were some clients that I really, really dreaded working with. It was like you saw their name on
Yeah.
your phone and you were like,
No.
don't answer their call at this point. Oh God, Saturday evening again they're calling me. As a entrepreneur, you need to assess, is
Right.
this worth it? Sometimes the money can be great, but if it's causing you mental stress, if it's causing it's not worth the effort,
Right.
So then
100%.
that is one of the best things that you can assess for yourself. How much is this worth? Is it of value to me and my business? If not, let it go.
Right, 100%. I completely agree to you on that. You touched upon a very nice point that I completely relate with. You mentioned that the first two clients came from your friends and friends.
Yes.
That is, what I assume is your network.
Yes.
Then the rest of the coaches that you connected with was also a part of your network. One
Yes.
connected to another, then third connected to another. I would want to ask, do you use any marketing strategies per se for yourself to get clients, or is it the network that is helping you grow your business?
So very honestly, my business is because my husband is well networked. So it is thanks to him that I have not had to actively do any marketing. He is part of our Digital Masters network, where
Yeah.
he is one of the top 10 coaches in India. And through him, through word of mouth, the word is spread. So I've never actively had to do any marketing till
Right.
now.
Right. But I also believe, having that network is a leverage, but getting to that table, discussing with them, building the network yourself is what gets business in the end.
Absolutely, yes.
Is
The
because
results
that,
have to talk.
Yeah, because the trust has to be built in you.
Yes.
Ultimately, and
Yes.
that network has to be built with you. Because, I say this because I run a marketing agency as well. And for my own self, when I work with clients, we try a lot of things, the per se marketing strategies that are there. But for me as well, for the last 4 years, I think my network has driven my business. And I feel that is one of the things we should heavily focus on.
Yes.
Building those relationships like this one,
Yes,
which can get into work, maybe a week later. So
Right.
these are the kind of relationships I'd like to nurture so
Yes.
that we are able to grow together as entrepreneurs.
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah, I know this question is coming a little later in the podcast, but I usually do this is because I want people to know the journey before they jump to the conclusion. If I ask this question too early in the podcast, they feel, oh, she's done it, she's reached there. So I don't ask this question in the very start. So I'd love for you to share, what do you do,
Okay.
who do you help, and how do you do it?
Okay. So I am a PR consultant. I get a lot of questions about what exactly is PR. So PR is essentially getting, for me, entrepreneurs, coaches, mentors featured in the news to build credibility.
Right.
So we focus on building their online reputation through credible sources.
Right.
So whether that is high authority websites, news portals, podcasts, blogs, influencer engagement, that's everything that we do. And my company is called Blue Tick PR.
Oh,
And
nice.
because when I started my company, the first thing that everyone came to me with was,
How do I get the blue tick?
how do I get the blue tick? I want blue tick.
Yeah.
So, and for the blue tick, PR is very important.
Yes,
so
right.
Now, of course, you can buy the blue tick
Yeah.
through all the Meta, but at that point you needed real credible articles,
Right.
and there was a strategy behind that. So that's how the name Blue Tick PR came about.
Right, right. I'd love to ask a very curious question, though I know the answer a little bit, but I'd love to ask it for the audience. You know, in marketing agencies, because PR is also a way of doing business to reaching to people, right?
Correct.
So I might suggest that, why not run ads and get leads and then close those leads?
Sure.
How would sitting in a podcast help versus running ads and getting leads?
Okay.
Not a comparison, but
Sure.
just to
Yeah.
help the audience understand the power.
Absolutely. So again, like you said, not a comparison. It's not
Yeah.
either or. Please do both. With PR, what happens is that it helps build credibility.
Yeah.
So if you have been featured in Forbes, in Business Today, on different networks, if you've been featured on a really good podcast, for example, Jay Shetty, Neil
Yeah.
Patel, that credibility is that, oh my God, this person is great. you know,
Right.
and they are worthy of being there, which means that I would love to work with this person.
Right,
I would
right.
love to be trained by them. I would love to do business by them. I would love them to manage my
Right.
agency business. So that's where I feel like PR really comes in. It's not so much that, oh, people are going to see this article and then be like, that business
Yeah,
is coming.
right.
So once you get those articles, you get those podcasts, you get blogs, you get interviewed by different people. One, yes, you are widening your audience by reaching out to different people, but you're also going to amplify that and build credibility.
Right.
So if I'm in economic times, that adds to my credibility, right?
Right, 100%. What I've understood from what you were saying was, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's also a concept called leverage authority. That,
Yes.
if I'm sitting in a podcast, like you mentioned, Jay Shetty or Neil Patel, if they're interviewing me and I'm giving answers, then somebody who looks at it feels, oh, Neil Patel, interviewed her or him.
Yes.
That feels like she must be something. She must have done something that she's there on the stage.
Exactly.
So that gives me the leverage authority for people to come to me and look at me as a credible source, like you very rightly said, that it builds credibility.
Exactly. You got that right.
Yes, thank you. So this question, if you're comfortable sharing, it's completely okay. I'd love to ask that what is the kind of revenue you're able to get through the business in a month?
So revenue wise, on an average, we do about 5 lakhs per month.
Okay.
Through PR, and it's a very, very lean team. So I have one person who works with me. So in terms of expenses, it's very lean.
Right.
I work from home, so that also helps me balance things, and overhead wise it works great.
Yeah, I'm sure since we're sitting in Goa, I'm sure that the work from home kind of, brings that vibe and that energy, looking at that sea from the window.
There's no
and
better place. There's no better place to work from home.
Yes.
And the surprising thing I find is, like, when I was working at my agency, I always script that, oh, I don't get good clients because I'm in Pune, I'm not in Bombay
Right.
or Delhi. With COVID, the world has changed so much that
Right.
no one cares where you are. And none of my clients are in Goa. Mostly they're all over the country, Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai. They're
Right.
spread out, which is so great. I think that the world has changed so much in the
Right.
last few years.
Right. And it gives us the global reach. You can
Totally.
reach wherever you want, whenever you want, in a click of a Zoom button.
Yes. Like you said, you work with clients in the US. So
Yes.
That's so great.
Yes. I would like to touch upon a point that you mentioned early in the podcast, but I wanted to bring it now. You mentioned about homeschooling your kids. I am a firm believer of the fact, I'm not a mother yet, but one day I'd like to be, and I'm a firm believer of the fact that maybe our education system lacks what we need, and it doesn't bring honesty. What children learn about is not true. The Indian history that they learn about and the skill education that is required.
Right.
I would love to ask, how did you make the decision of homeschooling and how do you do it?
Okay. So we don't homeschool.
Okay.
That time when COVID is happening, it was online schooling.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was online schooling where they were enrolled in a school in Pune at that point, and we had to be around to make sure that things go well. But very consciously, my husband Gaurav and I have made an effort to put them in a very new age school.
Yeah.
Where they are exposed to different things, and as both of us being entrepreneurs, what we liked about the school was that one of the main focus was entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Even
that's
though
correct.
our kids are only 8 and 5 right now, but they do, that they nurture that creativity, that open-mindedness,
Right.
that going forward they can think about it if they choose.
Right.
So, which for us is very important. And besides that, of course, the effort that one makes at home with them to expose them to different things, different conversations that we have with them, and even the digital consumption that happens is very mindful in terms of
Right.
what they're learning from it.
Right, right. And I think that also tells me that, new age schools are coming up.
Yes.
Like people are changing their perspective, and they are building ecosystems where they could build a skill education as well.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I have two last questions for you.
Okay.
The one question that I would like to ask is that, as female founders, we just don't run a business. We run a house.
Yes.
We are a wife as well, and running the house as well. And with that, you're a mother as well.
Yes.
So how does that help you to run a business, and how do you manage that?
Okay. So, even when I didn't have kids, my dream was to be able to balance both really well, because being a mother is very, very important, and being independent is very important. So, for me, I think what's really worked well is that I can work from home and be there for all the key moments.
Right.
And so I have a good balance where they are in school till 3:30, and once they are back, so I try to strategize and plan my day in a way that I can, really get the majority of my work done in the
Right.
first, like till 3 o'clock, and then be around with them for till the time
Right.
they're awake. And I think the other bonus of entrepreneurship is being able to manage your time.
Yeah.
So,
Make a choice.
working late at night or working early in the morning based on what needs to be done.
Right.
So that helps. And of course, planning. I think planning is a key thing, like your menu planning on
Right.
a Sunday evening, grocery planning.
Systems.
Yeah, systems work, getting good help works,
Yeah.
having family around. So my husband Gaurav's mother has moved recently to Goa, so that's a huge help where the kids are so
Right,
happy
right,
to spend
right.
that quality time with her.
Right.
So all of that is a big support.
Yeah, I think the three things that I got from the answer that you gave was, it was the family support, asking for help.
Yeah.
Second, outsourcing, as you very rightly did in your business. And the third is having that balance and planning in time so that you're able to get the best of both worlds.
Yes, and for
Yeah.
us, since both of us are entrepreneurs, we are able to manage our schedules in a way that if he has a call at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
and he is busy, I am definitely there.
Right.
If I'm in the podcast right now, he is able to direct them in a way that, there's peace and they
Right.
are well entertained.
Right. So I have one last question.
Sure.
Since all females are listening to this, they might be running businesses, making some kind of revenue, or they might be on the edge to start a business.
Sure.
What is that one advice you'll give to all female founders if they want to become entrepreneurs like you?
So I feel like we are really well prepared to become entrepreneurs. So I feel like just
do it.
do it, throw the fears out of the window and try it. I know
Right.
it took me a long time, but once I did it, I was like, why didn't I do this earlier?
Yes.
So I think follow your heart, find your passion, and just go for it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I've
Thank you
learned
so
so much.
much.
And thank you so much for your time and hosting me today. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, and thank you so much for this.
Thank you.